Hi there, guys. I am back. Sorry, this has been a slightly longer break than usual, but I'm here. Someone in the chat said, I think Bartek started playing Frog Island and forgot to come back. No, I am here. I am here. I am here to present you guys with the next team. And before I do that, remember the social links, yes, below. And if you scroll down, we got the panels. If you click on one of them, takes you to your desired destination. And hashtag ProtoPlay on any socials to give your games exposure if you're one of the devs. If not, just share that you're participating in the event. Okay, next team we're going to be looking at and speaking to one of the devs is Shotgun Mango. So without further ado, you guys have been waiting long enough. Let's go. Here we are. Hello, hello.
Hey there.
Hi there, Oliver. Sorry for the wait.
Hello, is everything okay? Can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can hear you fine. Yeah, can you hear me?
Ooh, I have a really weird sound coming from you, actually. You're more than welcome to keep playing during that time, but I
Uh,
cannot hear you.
well, we're actually
You're
playing
very,
the.
very squeaky for me.
Not sure if it's on our side. If I could just get a confirmation from the viewers how my microphone audio is, that would be appreciated. But I believe we are good. Also, the gameplay you're actually seeing is I sound normal on Twitch, so I'm not sure if it's some audio on your side, perhaps.
Okay, that seems okay. That seems to have sorted it out for me.
Okay, you got it.
Sorry, I'm not sure. I've sorted it out there. Sorry, I'm not sure what happened at all. You sounded like a very tiny mouse,
Okay,
or maybe a
yeah.
tiny frog.
No,
How are you doing?
I'm doing amazing. I'm doing amazing.
Good to
As a
hear. Good to
human being,
hear.
not a tiny frog, it's great.
Not a tiny frog. Yeah, I can tell that now. I wasn't sure beforehand, actually.
Both sound good. Thank you, guys. Thank you,
Both
guys.
sounds great. Okay.
Okay, right. Here we go. Would you like to introduce yourself, your game?
Yeah, so I'm Oliver. I'm the project lead for Shotgun Mango, and Shotgun Mango is developing Frog Island. You can see that on the screen right now. Frog Island is a third-person platformer game, and where the main mechanic is, and I'll sort of wait until you start swinging around the world to get to the end as fast as possible. There are obviously things to explore and many more things to do with your tongue other than swinging, and that's what the game's all about, really. Just finding out what you can do with that tongue to get yourself to the end of the level. That I don't want to reveal too much for now, but there's lots of throwing, grabbing, dragging, and obviously a lot of swinging too. The sort of design goal for this game when we sort of came up with it, because this is actually for the team or some of the team members, not the first game we've made about a frog, believe it or not.
I approve of that,
We decided
but I'll get onto that later.
We'll get onto that later, maybe, for sure. But the design goal for this one was to make it all about the tongue and making sure that every interaction centered around the tongue. The reason for this is to keep it simple, basically. You've got the Swiss Army tongue, one tool to fit all. And sort of that's our design for this one.
I see. Awesome. Before we get started, I might be low-key biased because I I think frogs are just best animals to design around. I think they're great.
Thank you very much.
Also, there was yesterday, I'm not sure if you saw, there was a team, I believe it was Bermuda Studios with their Hermit Crab game.
Yes.
That
Yeah,
was,
yeah.
I found that also quite great in terms of visual design. It was nice and goofy, but gameplay
Well,
wise, it was quite fun.
maybe we can find a collab with them somewhere on the beach somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah, Hermit the crab, and the frog. Does your frog have a name?
I think so. I've been asked that so many times, and we've come up with so many great answers. But like, we just haven't found one that quite fits yet.
You can just use John as a placeholder.
We're gonna use John for today. This is John the Frog. So yeah, the name of the frog is John for today. I think, I think we've always inside of the team just called the frog Froggy, but obviously that's a very easy answer to come up with. But yeah, I don't think that's come to our mind yet of what we actually want to decide on for the frog's name.
I mean, it's pretty straight to the point. Name of your game is Frog Island as well. You know what to expect. You know what you get from it.
That's true. That's very true. So yeah, at the moment, in terms of development, we've got 3 prototype levels out. Some of them are more or less developed than the others. But that was our sort of goal for Transducer, was to have 3 levels out to show the different mechanics off, or the different play styles of the game off. So the first one that you just saw there was our introduction level on the beach, or on the what we call Tadpole Bay. That one sort of just teaches the mechanics, introduces the mechanics, which leads on to this second level, which is going to be themed around the Netherlands. We've started to put some themed assets in there, but at the moment we're still sort of halfway in between a block out and sort of some actual assets being in there. And this one is to promote exploration, because there's lots of different routes that the player can take. There are sort of the way that we're promoting exploration, you can see right now, is that sort of there's lots of different things to collect around the world, mainly coins and bananas. These are things that we want to use later on in the game to show unlockable cosmetics for the frog and everything like that. But for now, we just wanted to get them in the game so that players can go and collect and find them all, and that would be our way to promote exploration in the game.
Awesome.
We've also got sort of shortcut routes and whatever in every map as well, and that's to if someone wants to get through as fast as possible. As you can see, at the end of every level, it tells you how fast you were completing the level, and we've found that some people actually find getting through the level as fast as possible a challenge for themselves as well. And we've had a lot of people come back to us with speed runs and whatever with certain levels of the game, which is really cool.
I see. Okay, I have a few questions for you now. Thank you for the
Okay,
content.
yeah.
Okay, first one is,
No worries.
why does the frog collect bananas?
So that's a good question. And we've been asked that one again before. It's we were initially using and still using some placeholder assets in the game that we purchased from a pack, and bananas were just the first thing that we put in the game as a collectible item, and people just like to collect them straight away. And we said, well, we're just going to replace them with something more frog themed, maybe like a frog spawn or something that a frog might actually eat, but actually or like flies or something maybe. But they just stayed as bananas, and nobody questioned it after a while, and we sort of was like, well, we're just going to stick with it for now. I was thinking that maybe we could change the collectible from level to level based on the theme, and that's something that we might consider doing in the future. But to be honest, the reason it's bananas right now is because that's what it started out as.
I see. I mean,
and it stayed that way.
It's pretty intriguing. You might as well just keep it to keep players questioning.
I mean, yeah, why not? Why not? We're thinking of later on, further down the line of development, again to promote exploration a bit more, that we would have other collectibles more themed around the level itself, and more secret hidden routes. I mean, we've taken inspiration from a lot of old third-person platformer and puzzle-style games and collectathon games, because that's what we enjoy playing a lot. So any of the tropes that you see from those, we're probably going to find our own way of adapting them and putting them into these games, because they're all a bunch of fun, really.
I see. Awesome. Now to sort of go back a little, you mentioned getting feedback from speedrunners, and could you expand on just overall amount of feedback you got and its impact on the game?
Okay, yeah, for sure, absolutely. So we released a version of this game back in, I can't remember the exact date now, but let's say late April, early May. We released that version on itch. This is before we had a lot of content. This is actually just after we'd done our first full level. And we managed to just get quite a lot of downloads on the game, which resulted in a few different things. The first thing is that, well, first of all, we got a lot of downloads. We got our way to the top of the itch page on the front page, which was really cool. We got a lot of feedback on our feedback form and on the itch comments, and it helped us to grow our Twitter a little bit. So they're all good things, but also we had a few people that, instead of just playing it once and giving us feedback, decided to play it for hours on end, and tweeted at us or messaged us saying, hey, look, I've got to complete your level. And the first one came through for that first level that my best time was 70 seconds when we first released it, which was, I thought, was really good. And I thought, because I made, as one of the people making the game, I would be one of the best at playing it, but I was wrong. There were some people that managed to send 60 seconds, 55 seconds. Then after a few days, we got someone come through with 24 seconds.
Oh yeah, just half the time. And
and I said, something's gone wrong here. Something's gone wrong here. There's not a possible way that someone can complete this using the standard movement to get to the end of the level. And we were right. They were definitely cheating their way through the level. But for us, we were worried. We were saying, oh, how are they doing that? The game is broken. We must go and work out how to fix it now. But the thing is, because they got these ridiculous times, they did not want to show us how they were doing it, because they knew as soon as we knew how we would do it, they were doing it, we would go and patch it.
Yeah, I see.
So we had to spend our own time working out how they were doing it. And as we were trying to work out the issue, which we did find eventually, we realized that actually it's not a problem that people are breaking our games. It's fun, and it's creative, and it shows people are like really getting into it. And I really actually appreciated it in the end, rather than got annoyed at them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just the issue that caused them to be able to get there in 24 seconds is no longer in the game. But I do sort of hope people find another way to break the game. I mean, the nature of our game is it is a physics-based game. There's always weird stuff.
There is always going to be something, you know.
There's always weird stuff that ends up happening, and that's okay. And you know, if we see a YouTube video, we have had a few YouTube videos made for our game that sort of weird stuff happens. It's okay now for me. I don't get worried about it anymore. And like that's what I've learned about game development, and I think the rest of the team has learned about game development throughout this process. Is putting out perfect polished stuff all the time is kind of impossible.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we've released early. We've done lots of versions that aren't necessarily the most polished and finished version of the game, but they are what we want to show off.
Yeah, I mean, the earlier you fail, the faster you know what to fix, and you'll get a chance to fix it, right?
Yeah. So yeah, just to wrap up what you were asking about how that went for us in terms of getting the speedrunners, we got a lot of feedback, and we were able to make a lot of changes in terms of quality changes to the game as well, based on what people said. And we from there did another version, which also included another level.
Awesome. Very nice.
Yeah.
It's I'm hearing a very interesting thing, how you're almost playing a tug of war with some of your speedrunners who end up discovering something, but they don't want to share it.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think that's really fun. I think that's a really fun way to interact with people playing the game. I'm not trying to, because if we fix everything and we make it this perfectly polished game, I feel like those people are not interested anymore, and that's part of our audience, you know. So to have these weird quirks about our game, as much as you want to make a finished polished game, the whole development process is about finding these weird quirks and finding out what works and what doesn't. And actually, sorry, something I did forget was and I'm not sure if it's shown off in the play video right now, but the bug that was being caused is that people could grab onto the pipes and they could walk away as far as they want, as long as they didn't jump, and they could get a lot of tension on the tongue, and then fling themselves as far as they could into the distance.
I see.
and we said that is awesome, that's a thing. So instead of just completely removing it from the game, we've actually now added it as a feature, a small feature, but you can't go infinitely far, as you can walk and build up a lot of tension on the ground, but as soon as sort of you hit a maximum distance, you will fling yourself off.
I see. Well, that's a new mechanic right there for you.
So the bug inspired a bit of or the technical problem inspired a bit of a mechanic that isn't used directly in the game as a sort of a core mechanic, but it is one that people can use to get around if they want to. Yeah, so that's sort of wrap up sort of what the end of the story is for the speedrunners and what they've done for us, really.
Awesome. It's a very interesting relationship you got with the community then. It's pretty
Yeah. I mean, we did start up a small Discord which people were posting their times on. That's gone a bit quieter at the moment since we've only just released the new version. Hopefully if the people that played it before manage to see it again, and we will be messaging everyone that's played it in the past to get them to speedrun this new level.
I see.
Which we've just released at the end of the end of the 3 months at Transducer now. So so I don't know. So this level has a lot more interaction in terms of playing with levers and switches and revolving things and moving things, and that's something that we wanted to play around with to see how people interacted with that. So I could say this third level that we've released so far, released now, is more focused on like a puzzle element. It's not puzzle in the strict nature of a puzzle. The solutions to them are quite simple, but like it is a different way for the player to use the tongue again, and that's sort of what we're trying to explore there. And we're going to keep doing this when we're developing the game. We're going to keep finding new ways for that tongue to be used, and some of them are going to be well received and some aren't. But I think what we're creating in these playground environments, we're going to watch people play, and if people go, I can't be bothered to do this is not fun, then we can go, okay, well, this is probably not what we want to put in the final game. And then people are going to really enjoy certain bits of it, hopefully, and we can go, well, that is what we're going to focus on for the core game. So that's why our first 3 levels that we've released are actually quite different from each other.
I see.
Because we're trying to sort of hit that happy medium, but also try and be as diverse as possible at the same time. So like experimenting and refining and experimenting and refining, and sort of after transfuser, post transfuser stuff now is working out, okay, well, taking the feedback we've got from everyone playing it at the moment, and then refining these levels to a point where we'd be much more happy to show them off.
Awesome. I'm just gonna stop you there because I wanted to take it back. I'm gonna pick up the conversation about post-transfuser later on. But
okay, that's fair enough.
Let's take it back quite a bit. And can you tell me more about what inspired you to create the game?
Okay, yeah. So
you mentioned there was another Frog game before this one.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. So this, so we, me and Kingsley, who are Kingsley's our lead developer on Shotgun Mango, the team, and me, started our 3rd year of university in 2019. We're doing a game design course, and very fortunately for us, our final project brief was a very open brief. We were able to create whatever we wanted, so long as that it fit the requirements of it was a game, basically.
Yeah.
We wanted to do a 3D platformer game for a while because it's not something we'd had me and Kingsley had worked together on some other projects in the past, and a 3D platformer was something just we hadn't tackled yet. So we wanted to try something new, quite ambitious, I know, for a final project, but it's just something we wanted to try. We knew we had pretty much a whole year to go get it done, and we didn't expect it to be any more than a uni project at the start. So we were just happy to go be a bit experimental with it and just see where it went. After a few months of developing the first version of a Frog game, we got people to play test it, and unfortunately, we found that we'd sort of lost the core of what we were trying to develop, and we only realized that once we got other people to play it. And we felt that the first version of the game didn't feel enough like a physics tongue frog game. It felt too much like a RPG like game where there was a animated tongue, basically.
Interesting. Oh.
And from that, we sort of felt quite disheartened, as you do when someone tells you that the game isn't the game you're supposed to make.
Yeah, sometimes you need to hear it to make the corrections, right?
You do absolutely need to hear it, yeah. So we decided, okay, we're going to put this whole thing aside. We're going to try doing some other stuff, and we did spend a month experimenting with some other mechanics, other games, a first-person game, some very abstract concepts, because I mean we are allowed to be creative in our course, which is great. But then we have this tendency to go back to frogs. So we were talking one day. We go, well, instead of just giving up with the idea that we had, why don't we think about what we were actually missing? What was it that we actually wanted to do with that original concept? And let's try and make it again. If we can make something that's half as convincing within a week, then we can in a few months make the game we wanted to make.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we said okay, we're going to spend a week together making this a prototype for the new idea for the frog game, and we did, and this is basically grown out of that second prototype, hitting on the idea that we wanted a more physics-based game, and like I said, a game that was revolving around this one tool fits all, this one interaction, which is the tongue, and we just kept developing that prototype from there, basically, and that's where it is today.
I see. So the first Frog game was pretty much what we are seeing now, but its predecessor that needed a lot of fixing.
Yeah, it didn't. It felt nowhere near as fast paced. There was a lot of stop starting, a lot of looking around. I mean, in its own way, it could have been developed into a good game, I'm sure, but it's just not the one that we wanted to make, and it's not the one that people wanted to, and not the one that people wanted to play.
I understand. So what was the first, the predecessor of Frog Island? Did it come from just a random idea thrown around, or was it inspired by something?
I think we've always been inspired by the sort of the 64 era of third-person platformer games or puzzle games,
See.
as well as some of the new ones that have been coming out on the Switch as well. Absolutely. So I think that our inspiration comes from those. And like I said, we wanted to try making one of those for ourselves, and that's where that's come from. And then the theme of the frog itself, that's just definitely just us as people, because we've always had a bit of a thing when it comes to making games about frogs. I mean,
You are fun people.
really,
You are fun people.
Thank you.
Is that, well, you mentioned there was a lot of changes that had to be made for the Frog Island to become what it is from your initial project, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Even though you've made an amazing project, is there anything you would want to change?
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe not going
yes.
forward, but maybe change something that you've already worked on, you know?
Well, the thing is, the way I say, I never would like to go back on what I've done.
I see.
I think that the only thing that I would go back on is potentially priorities. Maybe prioritizing one thing over another. Instead of building content, maybe refining some more other content more.
I see.
But like, there's no point going back and saying we should have done this, because now we do have a game that people can play, and I'm really really happy for that. This is, like I said, this was a uni project to start with, and we've achieved more than we ever could already with this. So I'm really happy with that. So I wouldn't say that I've got any regrets, or would say I would change anything about the past, because that's just not how I live. And I think that the team that we work together is that they all share a similar mentality to me.
I really respect that answer.
Yeah, but is there changes that I would make? Absolutely. I think we've had recently a meeting with the team about what the sort of the next steps are, and the next steps are the changes that we need to make. And it's not any. We've got 3 levels out now, and that's actually quite a lot for a prototype. In my opinion. So what we're going to go now is go over these levels and refine them and finish them off, and also update the character controller, because the way that sort of we've worked is this character controller we've got now hasn't changed much since late May when we did another update, and that's okay. It's not a bad character controller, but since we've now been developing more levels, it just needs to adapt to suit those things more, based on some feedback we've got about it sometimes feeling not as fluid as it needs to be. Those are the next changes we need to make. And that's the next step for us.
Okay. Could you touch a bit on the controls? Are you looking to release it on consoles, on PC? And what are the controls to be exact? How does the player steer the frog and use the tan, perhaps?
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So to answer the first question, at the moment our goal is a PC release,
Awesome.
and our sort of future plan goal would be to release on console. I think our best target for this is, because it's a casual game, because it's a 3D platformer game that does fit with a lot of other games that are released on this console, is the Switch. So that would be our first market outside of PC, outside of Steam. But yeah, PC controls at the moment is just 6 buttons. Your movement buttons, which are WASD, and then your and space, sorry, for jumping. Very simple. Mouse movement to look around, and then to shoot out your tongue, it's left click, and to reel it back in, it's right click, and that's pretty much it. Because you can do any object interacts with the tongue in its own way. So that's all the controls there is to it, and there's nothing else. We would think of, and sort of if we are to add a bit more dynamic movement into it. So for example, someone suggested that they would like to, this is something that's not in the game yet, but something we'd definitely consider putting in, that if you're looking down at the ground and maybe you're in the air, or you're just looking down at the ground and you're standing on the ground and you shoot downwards, that would shoot you into the air as sort of a rocket jump style thing. And that's something that doesn't work quite yet, but we would like it to work. But you can see there that wouldn't increase the amount of buttons needed to play this game. You would just use the same left click again to shoot the tongue out.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, yeah, go on.
No, continue. That, I think that's basically all I had to say.
Okay.
I just ramble a lot.
Oh, sure, that's fine. I appreciate that as an interviewer, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that the controls you actually went for I find them extremely intuitive. From what you described, I was ticking boxes in my head and it was like, yes, yeah, of course, you know. Like, yeah, of course, that button does that.
Well, that's relieving to hear. We have had some people, and actually the controls from the very early versions of the game have slightly adapted a little bit, and I think that they probably will change again and again and again,
Mhm.
but only in a minor way. As in, for example, something that is not immediately obvious, but we spent a lot of time developing. But the whole idea is the subtlety of it is that where you shoot is where like the crosshair is where the tongue goes, right?
Mhm.
Or like, but actually, if you are late to shoot on one of the pipes, it will sort of correct you a little bit because we found that some people were shooting a bit late, and instead of trying to teach them to shoot early, we just let them shoot late.
Ah, okay.
And a bit because and it still goes where you would estimate it to go, but because of there's a delay in the response time and the reactions time, and if you think about how the mind works, sending the brain signal to your hand to press the mouse, that's all like a few milliseconds in there, and by the time that you've fallen too far and you're going to miss the pipe or what you're trying to grab onto. So actually, the game takes it into that account for that delay and makes it easier by actually correcting the path of the tongue just a little bit, so you actually hit the pipes.
I see.
And other stuff like that.
Mhm.
So that's sort of where the changes in the controls and the mechanics are more than the ways that the buttons that are pressed.
Mhm. Awesome. Very nice. That just it makes me think how sometimes actually, just something interesting, I guess, for the viewers, for you, or you are probably aware of it, but in case sometimes whenever there is an object which might deal damage or cause you to have to go back to another checkpoint, the hitboxes, especially in 2 games, are actually put within. The hitbox is smaller than the actual object to give player time to react, to maybe avoid it quicker. And what's interesting is actually if the hitbox is the same size as the visuals you're seeing on screen, it feels like you've been perhaps executed by some object too early when you're playing, which is interesting. And now I'm just sort of comparing that to your solution that you've done with the tongue, not reaching some
Yeah,
objects.
I suppose it is very similar in a way actually. But like what we try to do is make it that it doesn't look obvious.
Yeah, of course.
You
That's
know,
what you would want, yeah.
yeah. I think we've done that. I don't know. I haven't asked if someone would know if I didn't tell them.
I
But,
mean, I couldn't tell, and I've been watching this for a
yeah.
while, so
Yeah.
so you've done good. No, you certainly you've done good. You
Yeah.
you were mentioning of course we discussed the development of the first Frog Island that I'm not sure what happened. Well, it sank. The first Frog Island sank. Let's say.
We sank it.
You
Let's
sank
put it
it.
that way. We decided that it was best to leave it and then move on. Because I think that's an important thing to be able to do is be able to go. Actually, we're not going to keep digging ourselves into a hole here. We're just going to move on. And look, from it, we've made this instead, and I'm so much happier with
Yeah,
this.
you've done an amazing job. And could you touch a bit on the development? What was happening before the transfuser with Frog Island, and how did joining transfuser and deciding to participate in ProtoPlay sort of
Okay,
change the
yeah.
development process?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the team went from a team of 2 to a team of 4, and I think that's the most important change for us. We got some stuff, we got extra work from some great people that
Mhm.
we wouldn't have done otherwise, and we got extra time to work on the game that we wouldn't have done otherwise. So first of all, I'll touch on like the other people on our team. So we've got so me and Kingsley, who started the project, both studied together, and we were the 2 that started the project. But for Transfuser, we got 2 other people on the team. We got James, who is a brilliant musician and sound effects artist. I've actually got the Twitch muted at the moment, so I'm not sure how well you can hear the sound. But I think the music really fits the themes, and the sound effects really work well for the frog. He's got a little voice, which is great. What did we call him today, John?
Yeah, I was just
Okay, well,
suggesting a placeholder. Yeah.
Yeah, so John's got a great little frog voice, and I think that adds a lot of character to it. So that's James. He's done a great job in bringing some of that stuff to life. And then we've got Matt as well, who's helped with a lot of the 2D graphic design work. I think the most obvious thing you can see is like the postcards and all the menus at the start, because actually in the actual game itself there's not too much UI, but outside the menus there's a bunch of that stuff going on. So that's what he's helped us out with, and it's like all of that takes so much time, and it's so great to have someone that's good at it and can get it done for us as well. And then we can work on, as Kingsley developing, can work on that that alone. And that's enabled us to work so much harder and get so much more done. So yeah, before Transfuser, it was just me and Kingsley working out and doing as much as we could across it. But what Transfuser has helped us and what we've done throughout is managed to get a lot more work done because we've had more people to work on it.
I see.
Which is amazing.
I'm very glad you mentioned sound, because I've actually turned it up for our viewers to hear better, because it's been very quiet. But we got it sorted now, so they can appreciate it in the entire glory.
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you for answering that question. About the target audience, it's not something you've touched on or I asked. So could you just say, who do you want to play your game? Simple as.
Okay. Yeah. So we've sort of, from sort of earlier versions of the game, and like I said, lots of people downloading it, we did identify sort of two different groups of people that we'd want to play it. The one is players of casual games, and this could be younger people that are playing the Switch. I don't think there's a particular gendered target for this. It's a very friendly game for all. I think. I don't think there's I don't think that is one thing we need to worry about, but definitely younger players with the quite light-hearted theme and friendly visuals, as well as the actual game itself. We try to make sure it's not too difficult to play.
Yeah.
We don't want this to be a difficult game. We want there to be challenging sections, of course, and we want it to feel like you've achieved something, but we don't want it to feel like this really tough experience, because we feel like people just won't carry on playing if it's too difficult. So because of that, we think that younger people that are playing the game are going to be able to enjoy it as well. And then the other target audience that we identified from our early downloads was the speedrunners. We got quite a bit, like a good group. A good group of people playing it really seriously and taking it really seriously, and I think that those two groups of people do often exist within sort of the audience for games like this, actually. So I think that they're the two that we need to identify and really nail down. We've identified areas that we can go find these people as well. I mean, there's a lot of good community on Reddit for speedrunning and stuff like that. So we have identified where these people are. So we're just trying to start pushing this new content towards them and seeing if they're interested in playing it or not.
I see. Cool. Awesome. That's awesome to hear. It's very nice that you were able to actually almost like discover the other target market of speedrunners who came your way with the feedback and their records, right?
Yeah, I mean, not so much me, but Kingsley has always sort of he's not done speedrunning much himself, but he is aware of the speedrunning community, and he does know a few people that do that, and I think he's done it himself for some of the old Mario games. So it's something that's always been a little bit close to us.
I see.
Especially Kingsley, but we never expected this to be received in that way. But once we then compared it to other games that we've played in the past, we go, well, actually, it kind of makes sense.
So you weren't actually looking to make it a speedrunning game, were you?
No, we weren't actually. It was always something that we did want to always, and we said that we're always going to make sure that the player knows how long they've played the level for and how long they took, because that's a good motivation to go play it again, so you can improve your time. But we never expected people to play it so many times to get better at the game.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. What's the ambition? You've touched on that, but sort of in more depth and to the point, what's the ambition for the project and for your team post Transfuser and ProtoPlay?
Okay, yeah. So our ambition is obviously to get this game released fully. I mean, our ambition is to have a game with 8 complete levels, just like the ones that you're seeing now, of different themes, and that is quite a big project goal to achieve. But if we are able to attain a good amount of downloads, if we're able to attain a good audience from 2 different areas, I see it as an achievable thing that we can actually reach. Our sort of the current sort of what do you call it, roadmap for us says that if we really want to get that done, that with a slightly bigger team than now, we could probably do that by the end of next year.
Oh, awesome. There we go. We got some dates.
Yeah, I think that's sort of, if we were to do our initial release version 1.0 release for PC is at the moment estimated to be at the end of 2021.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah,
Very
but
nice.
that's not to say that that's the only thing that we would like to release in that time.
Ooh.
I mean, we would really like to be able to release an earlier version of this game, if it's a free version of the game, or a sort of a half not half finished, but like half the content's there as an early access that people can pay for and then get the later content as it comes out. Just to make sure people are staying in the loop, we're gaining publicity and we're gaining a few sort of a better following of the game. We would like to definitely release something sort of by the end of March, which is more less of a prototype and more of a released version of the game.
Exciting, awesome. Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Hope you get hope you get stuff.
Yeah, I really do hope that that can happen. I think obviously there's sort of if we continue with Transfuser, if we find our own way, if we self-fund, but regardless, like this game is not gonna die. We're gonna release it. Like no matter what happens, we're going to put this game out, and it's going to be done. If it takes if we don't get additional funding, if we can't find a publisher in the future, we have time to go and do this.
You
but
will
we
find
just
a way.
take longer with it.
You will find a way.
We will find a way because it's a game we're really passionate about. So. It's a game that we have spent a lot of time developing and iterating, and we've got a lot of feedback on it. So I am confident in that people will like this game if it's released.
Yeah, definitely. The passion is there. You got a vision for the game, and you know what you are doing because you had a whole project to try out what didn't work, right?
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, that's the learning experience.
You'll for sure get it done. I always say, if there is a will, there is a way. Just before we finish off, because our time is coming to a close, just a quick question for you. Where did the name for your team come from? It's Shotgun Mango.
Oh, I thought that might be coming today, actually.
Yeah.
I thought that would be a question that you asked. So it's sort of not even a funny joke, really. It's sort of a really lame joke, but I'll tell you anyway. I had never had a papaya before, which is a type of fruit for anyone that also has never had a papaya before. And a papaya is shaped a little bit like a mango, but inside of a papaya, instead of being one big seed, there's lots of tiny seeds, which I didn't know as well. I'm not very good on my fruits. And one of our friends said, well, it's a little bit like a shotgun mango in that case, then, because it's got lots of pellets inside of it. And that's the story of Shotgun Mango. And I remember the guy saying it, and I said, well, that's a really good name for a game company. And I went, well, there we go then.
I like that one. It's actually recently I actually just had my girlfriend try the papaya for the first time as well. So don't worry, you are not the first who haven't tried it for some time or haven't had it.
Well, I will say, unfortunately, this is a weird personal thing, but I am allergic to quite a lot of fruit.
Oh.
So I can't eat a lot of fruit. But it turns out papaya is actually fine for me.
There you go.
I really enjoyed it.
There you go.
We put a little bit of lime on there. I think that's what we did. A little squeeze a bit of lime on top.
That's perfect.
And that was lovely. There we go.
Okay,
yeah,
I'm gonna link your socials in the chat. There you go, guys. There is all the links you might want to desire to check out the Frog Island game. And it was a pleasure talking to you. And I wish you all the best with your game. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Speak to you later.
Take care.